So I don't know what you guys think, but I'm slightly concerned when it comes to the story. Not that I think anything is gonna happen soon, but just a feeling that most of us have. The adventurous Nameless, who encountered the Astral Express at a young age. Himeko, our navigator, the brilliant pathstrider of the Trailblaze. I've honestly been waiting for the chance to make this video about her, not just because she's the final Astral Express member that I haven't made a video about, but also because I have quite a build for her in mind. Something I kinda cooked up a while back, and I'm quite proud of, but at the same time it's an artificer build, so they aren't always the easiest kind of character to play in D&D, but I think this build is quite fitting for Himeko. At least steampunk is fun, you know? But enough about all of that, let's actually get to the build now. So Himeko, the navigator and mom on the Astral Express. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I felt like Elf was the best option for her. Elves are known for being regal, graceful, and intelligent. They live for a long time and they have experienced a lot of things because of this. I also feel like it gives a lot of perspective to Himeko's experience before the story begins, making her feel more well-traveled and experienced than the rest of the party, even if you guys start at the same level. As an elf, you get additional points to your dexterity, you get dark vision, proficiency in perception, and you get advantages against being charmed or put to sleep. And of course, as an elf, you don't really need to sleep. You enter into a meditative state and get all the bonuses that come from a long rest. You are also semi-conscious during this, so it's also very helpful during a long night. For her sub-race, I went with High Elf for her, because I thought it would be an interesting twist to her story. High Elves are known for being very haughty and reclusive, but the idea of one becoming a Nameless is quite interesting to me. You get a bonus to intelligence, an extra cantrip, and an extra language from all of this. And now, with all of that done, let's move on to her classes. I had first thought about just making her a simple artificer, but then I thought about it more and I decided that I wanted it to be a bit more accurate to her combat abilities in game. So I added 4 levels into Artificer for her, and then the rest of it I added to Fighter instead. As an Artificer, of course, you get your infusions. For Himeko specifically, I decided that I wanted to give her some that kind of felt like it would make sense for her when it comes to the Astral Express. I first gave her Returning Weapon because it reminded me of her follow-up attack. It gives you a +1 to attack rolls, and the weapon returns to you after you use it as a ranged attack. The next is Enhanced Arcane Focus, which gives a +1 bonus to your spell attack rolls, and you can ignore half cover with it. Repeating Shot, which gives you a +1 to your ranged attacks, and you get infinite ammo with it. And then I gave her Replicate Magic Items, which does what the label says. And of course I went with the Bag of Holding with this, because honestly, having multiple bags of holding is always useful, especially if you're lugging around a lot of items during your quest. Why did I just go serious all of a sudden? Anyway, for Himeko's subclass, it's kind of obvious that I went with Artillerist for this one. It gives her proficiency in wood carving tools, and it comes with 2 additional spells to add to her arsenal at level 4. Those being Shield and Thunder Wave, which are always good spells to use. But of course the big thing here is the Eldritch Cannon, that you can set up on the battlefield wherever you like to defend your friends with. They're quite small with all things considered, but they are quite useful. They are very durable with an AC of 18, and you can fix them with the mending spell whenever you need to. The Eldritch Cannon disappears after an hour or until its health is reduced to 0. You can command it to fire if you're 60 feet away from it, and you can also make it walk and climb 15 feet if you'd like to. Here are all the versions of the Eldritch Cannon that you can get with this class. Pretty neat. After all of that, we move on to the fighter part of her build. I went with Battlemaster for her because it gives her access to combat superiority and the maneuvers that come with them. You'll have access to 4 superiority dice at this level, and you can use them to access your maneuvers to give you advantage. At level 3 you only have 3 available to you, and here are the ones that I picked out for her. Sweeping attack, which allows you to hit another enemy 5 feet away from you during combat, equal to the amount you rolled on your superiority die. Think of it similar to your skill in game. Tactical assessment, which gives you extra points to your investigation, history, or insight checks, equal to your die that you rolled. I also gave her rally to give temporary hit points to your allies, mainly because I can see her motivating her team members and inspiring them during combat. I also gave her great weapon fighting cause I don't know what that suitcase is, but I'm just imagining that it counts as a great weapon, right? Getting onto ability scores now. Intelligence has to be your highest score, then dexterity, wisdom, charisma, constitution, and then strength will have to be your dump stat. As for background, because we don't really know much about it, I simply went with the Far Traveler for her. It makes sense as a nameless, so to be fair, it works for her. For feat, I wanted to show off that Himeko is a well-versed adventurer, so because of this, I went with the Dungeon Delver feat for her. You get advantages on perception and investigation checks when looking for secret doors, advantages for saving throws against traps, and you get resistances against damage dealt by traps. You also don't get penalties on your perception when you're walking fast through an area. For languages, you get 2 additional ones, which I picked to be Sylvan and Core. Core because they're nomadic by nature, and I can see Himeko learning it when traveling with fellow travelers. And Sylvan because of her elvish heritage, and she might have picked it up at some point looking through ancient ruins, or she might have just fallen into the Feywild during her adventures and learnt it from there. For her proficiencies, of course she has her wood carving tools from Artillerist, but I also gave her smithing tools and cartography tools, as a navigator of the Express and the one who repaired it before, so yeah. I also gave her proficiency in the viol because she might have learnt it, and it's an elegant instrument which felt fitting for her. As for actual skill proficiencies, I simply picked history and investigation for her, which makes sense with her character, connecting and learning across the universe, on the starry rails and all. And now we've reached what her magic has to offer to us. Keep in mind these are just my personal picks for her, so don't take it too seriously. Honestly, I'm just using what I have, so I'm doing my best to get what I want from her. First up, I gave her Firebolt because she's a fire character and it's the only fire spell that I could find for her. A pretty good one though, even if it's a cantrip. Next, of course, is the Mending spell, because you'll probably need it for the Eldritch cannons. And I also gave her Cure Wounds for her less Eldritch cannon-y allies. I also gave her Message to subtly communicate with her allies if there's a danger nearby, Detect Magic and Sanctuary for the same reasons to keep your friends from danger, and I also gave her Tasha's Caustic Brew as a vague reference to coffee. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that one, I just thought it would be funny. And now for her equipment, I wasn't quite sure what kind of weapon I should give to Himeko, but at the end I just picked a great axe for her. I mean, to be fair, her suitcase does technically transform into a spinning saw, which you could see as a rotating axe, right? I also chucked in a few battle axes in there, and if you're lucky, you can also put returning weapon on one of them so it comes back to you during combat. Enough of that though, let's get to the backstory now. I tried to stick close to what the story was about, but I D&D-ified it quite a bit. So, anyway, let's get going. The girl had been lost for a while, walking through the woods in the middle of the night, on and on until the moon was hanging high above the sky ahead of her, as she felt her foot slip as she tumbled into the muddy marsh below. She remembered her limbs scrambling to grab onto something that might steady her again. She remembered her hands touching something solid as she forced her eyes open so she could see what was ahead of her again. There was a shine of something, of someone dressed in fine clothes, turning to look at her with a cracked smile. "Where are you going?" her friend had asked her as she ran through the streets of her hometown with wide, ever-wandering eyes. "To the beginning," she told her as she practically leapt across the pavement. The beginning? Beginning of what? She never replied back to that question. There was never a need for her to do so. They say that she had seen something that night. Something truly magnificent. A sky filled with stars. A being neither man nor god, but something beyond everyone's comprehension. At least that's what people have theorized. That girl always had a good memory. Even after leaving behind everything she had ever known, she still knows the name of everyone she had come across during her long journey to the place that she calls the beginning. It was never bad luck that led you down this path, my friend, a voice from afar said to her. She smiled, just enough for that person to notice it. A gentle longing breeze blew between them. But now we harbor different thoughts and views about this journey that we have chosen to go on. The young woman looked up at the person ahead of her. What do you see at the beginning? The stars, old friend. Endless. They are waiting for me. But has this journey made you happy? The woman shook her head and turned her back towards the person. Picking up her belongings, she continued her journey forward, towards the place she had destined herself to. It's the same as always. Well, I guess this is something for the fun of it. A tale with a destination in mind, but whatever the destination is up to you. I thought it would be an interesting switch for the Astral Express journey, and where their journey is going to lead them towards. Of course, I didn't want to add the actual Express itself into the story, because it'll cause a lot of issues, so you get Akavili instead in the tale. I hope you guys don't mind it too much. But either way though, this is a story that I wrote for Himeko. It's actually one I'm genuinely happy with. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think I did a pretty good job. But after all of that though, I'm just happy that everything came together like this. And I hope you guys are happy with it too. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you like, and I hope to see you all again next time. Take care.